What is up, Rum Hut Nation? It's your boy back again, down not at the Rum Hut, at a very empty bar. Didn't want to come on and make this video today, but I figured, win or lose, we're here for the team. I wanted to talk a little bit about the game that happened this week and where we go from here. Didn't want to come and talk about it because I couldn't watch that game sober. It was just horrible. So, yeah, it's not as much about the game itself. I kind of want to talk about just where we go from here. It's a bye week this week. We don't play until Thursday next week. So we're going to talk a little bit about the game, the upcoming game against BC, and just everything in between and what the overall takeaways are. Get your favorite beverage. For me, need something strong. But sit back, relax, and thank you once again for joining me. Once again, we're back at the Rum Hut. One of the happiest places on earth, especially when we're winning. But that's not what we're doing right now. We are absolutely not doing that. We did beat Calgary, who just beat BC. But I don't think that those two things are always transferable game to game. And as you know, and as all Bomber fans know, there is no game that shows who you are more than playing against your rival. And playing against Sask, it puts a spotlight on where we are right now. Whether we won last week, the week prior against Calgary, I think that's pretty much in the past. It doesn't matter. What we saw this week. It just shows how far we've either fallen or where we are at this point with this team. And my number one takeaway, I'm gonna number them because after a loss, I love to just get everything off my chest, every single thing. Number one issue with this team: Zach Collaros. Can he be good still? At moments, yes, he can be good. He can throw good passes. He can read the defense. He knows the way the offense is run. But he's so inconsistent. Drive to drive, you don't know which Zach you're going to see. I complain about him one drive, and then all of a sudden he's amazing the next drive. And then I complain about him like, oh, he's gonna turn it around. And it's the same thing. And then all of a sudden he forgets about that. He threw that interception, and he's amazing Zach again. It's just too much inconsistency. Whether it is all on Zach, whether it's the receivers, whether it's the offensive line, whether it's the offensive coordinator. I just don't think that for a guy of his caliber, who he's been this in his career with the Bombers, in the CFL, he's won, two Grey Cups. He's been around the block. This is not new for him. Just to see the inconsistency, the mistakes, the throws into double, triple coverage. These aren't rust mistakes. These are just not mentally reading the offense, reading the defense, seeing what's happening in front of you, seeing the pictures. These are mental errors that rookies make. Not guys who have been in the league for 15 years or however long he's been in the league. That's what's inexcusable to me. Making a bad throw, underthrowing a guy, overthrowing a guy, that's all excusable. It's the way he's being tricked by the defense or throwing balls up that have no chance of being caught, like only by the defense. Like that's what we're seeing out of the guy, and that's what's so concerning. On the other hand, he was outplayed. He was outclassed by a rookie, or Patterson, I think, has maybe been in the league for a couple of years, but a rookie starter. It's embarrassing. It is embarrassing. They were completing passes at will. He was reading our defense, and he had no problems. I'm getting to the point now where I'm starting to think that this season, and I hate to say it, is a write-off. The reason why I say that is because the Bombers aren't going to make a change at starter. They are not going to change the starting quarterback. And really, all we can do is hope that Zach turns it around. My faith in that happening is very, very slim. Like, I wouldn't put my money down on, oh, Zach's going to turn it around next week. Like, that isn't where I'm putting all my money. So, in a sense, that's where I am with this team, especially with the offense. I just don't think they have, the consistent playmakers. Even if it was Lawler and Schoen back, does it make that big of a difference? Maybe, in a sense. I'd say that it probably is about 10 or 15% better. Does that mean we beat Sask with a healthy, Trevor Harris? Does it mean we beat BC next time with Verdon Adams? I don't know, but consistently, I think it's just and that's the problem. Is it's not his ability to hit his receivers. It's the mistakes. It's the being tricked by coverage. It's we don't get the all 22, so we don't get to see how he was reading the defense and what they did on defense to trick him. But it's just. It appears that it's elementary mistakes over and over and over and over again. So that's where I am on that. I'm going to get in a little bit on the defense because I think for the most part it doesn't really matter. I think our running game has been fine. They didn't play great against Sask, but I think the running game is fine. We've got Brady who's leading the league in rushing. So I mean, on the offensive side of the ball, it starts and ends with with Zach and Buck. So if they can turn it around, then our offense is turned around. But I think that's pretty much all that we need to talk about on the offensive side of the ball. One other thing that bothered me quite a bit, and this was already past the point. Somebody had to remind me about this after the game, the day after, because I think I got sick. I had 6 or 7 drinks. I had like 4 at home. And then I went to the bar at halftime right by my house to watch the second half. And I had probably 2 or 3 there. And something in my stomach. And I just kind of got the spins. And it was bad. So I don't really remember the fourth quarter. I was just hoping it was going to end soon. So And if you thought that I was going to change my tune when I started talking about the defensive side of the ball, you are sadly mistaken. This defense, although they allow some of the least amount of points per game, it's a mirage. It is a farce. I think the trope that's been being used by O'Shea is really getting old. And it was underscored in the Grey Cup this year and the one in the previous year. It may win you the odd game, or you may win more games than you lose by just giving up a few points, but giving up 400 yards a game. But good teams are going to take advantage because their defenses are good too. So if you're gonna bank on letting up 400 yards a game, 100 yards plus on the ground, 300 and some odd on the in the air, and you're just gonna hope that they don't get in the end zone, I don't know how that is a legit. I don't know how that's a legit plan to have going forward. Like, do you think there's ever been a team in the history of the NFL that's ever said, you know what, we're just gonna let the other team move the ball as much as they want until we get in the red zone? And then they had aspirations of winning the Super Bowl. It's asinine. It doesn't make sense. And it made sense for the first 2 years because we were getting tons of interceptions, tons of fumbles, and that was all glossed over because we were turning the ball over so much. We were winning the turnover battle. Zach wasn't making mistakes. We had Willie, who was at least forcing a fumble every game. You had the DBs who were forcing tons of interceptions. Demario Houston, you had like all these guys that were just constantly turning the ball over in important downs. This year we don't have that. We don't have that to fall back on, and we may not give up that many points. We didn't give up that many points against Sask, but this is going to be a huge issue going forward, because if you're letting up 40, giving up 400 yards a game, you're giving them tons of time on the field, and you're tiring them defense out. You aren't giving your offense the time on the field that they need. Not that our offense is doing anything with the time on the field. They scored 9 points. But the point is, this is not a key for success. This is not, and I think what it comes down to is just the depletion of talent that we've seen over the years. And this is kind of where I'm going to tie it all together. The Bombers, and you see it happened with Calgary for a while, and Calgary is just struggling to get through it now, but the depletion of talent has steadily increased every single year, and it's not always the fault of the Bombers. You see every team, any successful team in North America, if they are successful, other teams are going to want your best players. And that has happened with the Bombers. But that being said, a lot of the issues that we've seen for the past 4 years are the same ones that we saw previously, but magnified, because we don't have the playmakers that could have brought us through those issues. And now, even though we have some of them, they're 5, 6, 7 years older than they were at the beginning of their tenure with the Bombers. So they don't have that explosivity. They don't have that big playability that they used to have. So all in all, I think that is the main issue. We're seeing a lot of aging players. We're seeing a lot of young players that just really haven't found their way with the team. And I think my main concern overall is just Zach. I think the questions I see online is just that, is he washed? Is he washed? Is he washed? I just think he's been washed for a few years now, or at least last year. Ever since, I think it was when he came back from his injury, and played in the Grey Cup against Toronto, we've seen the same player who really hasn't been, game altering or makes big plays consistently, or even makes consistent first downs happen. We've relied so much on the run game and really very little on the passing game, except for the odd explosion play. He's been far too inconsistent, and I think that we really can't keep accepting this status quo or this level of mediocrity that we've seen out of him. And it's not just Zach, it's the defense. They're super inconsistent as well. You have guys like Nick Dembski who are fumbling on a very frequent basis. You've got the offensive line who has been giving up way too much pressure. I think they've been a lot better in the past couple weeks, but still giving up pressures. It's top to bottom. The only person I can't give any blame to is probably Sergio Castillo. This team, top to bottom, I think really has struggled to maintain, their form in the past couple of years. And I think that since we've had these 4 years of success, we may have some sort of form of complacency and being, I guess, comfortable with where we are. If you said to, I guess, Wade Miller or Kyle Walters, we keep this same team together and we're going to make the Grey Cup again next year, I think they would for sure take that. But that isn't the case, because just because we made it 4 years in a row doesn't guarantee you that you have, another year in you, especially when you get in guys who are another year older, which means they're another year more injury prone, and obviously like we've seen, less explosive. Zach, I there's something between the ears. I don't think it's physical. I don't think he has the same escapability where he would make magic happen outside of the pocket. You remember that first game he played for us against Calgary, just rolled out of the pocket, escaped pressure, threw a deep ball into the end zone, touchdown. We haven't seen any of that for God knows how long. So that's pretty much all I have, guys. Bombers lose, obviously, to Sask. We'll be back again. I might take some time off, or I might make another video this week about the other games that are happening this week. But we play BC next week. It's going to be another really tough game. BC did come off a loss against Calgary, so they're going to be a little bit pissed off. If they cannot get a win against BC, I have fears that it could be the end. This season for the Bombers. We're going to cross our fingers, try to be positive. But there will have to be changes made. I think next year for sure. And where those changes are made, I really can't say. I think that if things keep going the way they are now, I don't know what the contract situation is with Zach. I don't know how guaranteed it is. But I think there might have to be moves away from Zach, and maybe it's a free agent quarterback next year. I don't want to speculate. And now that I get on down that path, I got to keep going. I'm just saying, if Saskatchewan wants to keep Harris next year, Patterson doesn't look like too bad of a quarterback. So I don't know if he wants to play with the Bombers after he just got absolutely smoked by Big Hill. But the Bombers might be in the market for a quarterback next year, and I think they should be. So thank you again for watching, boys. Much appreciated. Thank you for sticking with the channel. Please hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps me out. Helps people find the channel. And if you enjoy this kind of content, subscribe to the channel so you can see more. Anyways, boys, we will see you back at the Rum Hut on August 1st against BC. Peace.